Hello and welcome back to the Great Unexplained Debate. This is a show that is filmed as live, it's unedited. What we say, you see. We're asking very difficult questions and getting some very plain, straightforward answers. Today with me on this show we have Steve Mara, the chairman of one of the longest associations into the paranormal, the Manchester Association of the Paranormal Investigation and Training. Thank you very much for coming back.
Thanks.
We also have Dave Sadler, who is the founder of the Unknown Phenomena Investigation Association, which again has been around for some time. And thank you very much for joining us. And again, to my left, we have Fred Batt, who demonologist, witchcraft expert, paranormal investigator, an all-round nice guy. Thank you very much for coming back. Nice cross, by the way.
Well, that covers all religions, so I'm safe.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, that's got everything on it. It's an Illuminati cross.
Well, you don't want to be kept out of heaven on a technicality, do you? Right, I think to start with, what I'd like to do is talk about aliens and this very broad aspect of the paranormal. I know we've touched on it before, but we've had so many emails and stuff coming in saying people want to know more and more and more. And in all honesty, it's something that we probably couldn't cover if we did an hour on it every day.
It's a huge subject, the whole theory regarding alien contact. I mean, you've got the scientific side of it, which is SETI, which is a search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and of course there's the sort of research side of it, such as the ancient astronaut theories. You've got the modern UFO phenomena, and the historical documents. So it sort of splits into sort of 4 different categories. Those go off at a tangent, of course, into alien abduction on one side and crop circle phenomena on the other. We don't believe there's anything to do with crop circles, by the way. That was all down to, apparently, in 1980, Farmer John Skull down south found a 160-metre impression in his crop one day. Just round, nothing special. And unfortunately, the first guys to attend that were 2 UFO investigators and said, "Oh God, something's landed." And of course, since then, it's always been UFO orientated. I don't think there's any evidence to support that as well.
But isn't this the case with a lot of stuff, which we'll go on later about talk about abductions and stuff. But it always seems to be that there seems to be one iconic thing, whether it be that, and everyone else seems to jump on almost a bandwagon. And then there's so much more after that. More people see things, more people are witnesses. I have to. The crop circle thing, I think, is the bizarrest thing. But Dave, what do you believe about aliens? Do you believe they are there? Do you believe they come to the Earth? Do you believe they can contact us directly?
Well, first and foremost, Carl, it's a vast, wide open universe. There's many planets being found on a not so much regular basis, but there's planets similar to Earth being found on a regular basis. It'd be stupid of me to suggest otherwise, that there's no such thing as life on other planets. If it's coming here to visit, is another matter. I mean, most of the things out there, I believe people are misidentifying and misinterpreting, and a lot of things in relation to the alien abduction scenario is down, I think personally, to simply psychology and sleep disorders and such like.
That's actually strange, because that's something I do want to look into later on, because I've been looking into some research about sleep disorders and alien abductions. Now, Fred, I know we've asked before, but just enlighten us again. What's your standpoint on aliens?
Well, I think there's got to be other life out there somewhere. We're just one universe. There's got to be more beyond that, and there's bound to be more life than just us. And also, if you go back, as I said before, the way the Aztecs and the Egyptians laid out things, so they could only be seen from above, and there were certain patterns and things like this. There's got to be more to it than we know. There's got to be something there, and I think people have come here. Yeah, I really do.
Do you think they come here as regularly as would be?
Well, it's very much different. I've said this before. It's very much different in this country. It very rarely gets reported now, the alien abduction phenomenon, as you can well imagine.
Why is that? Are we bored of it? Are we just
No. It had its phase during the 80s. I mean, when the X-Files was out on TV, everybody wanted to be an investigator. And we were basically confronted with thousands and thousands of people, literally, who thought that investigation was just a matter of just running around the country, and no paperwork, no actual hard work involved. But that's quite the opposite. And it had a phase where people were saying that they were going through the abduction phenomena, the incidents were taking place. It happened around about sort of from 1980 to around about 89, 90. Right. And those 10 years, we investigated more of the alien abduction phenomena than most of the UFO experiences. Nowadays, it doesn't get reported so much because it was a phase. You know, it's what people go through. The media, you know, get people involved in certain subjects, and it heightens the perceptions in regards to them thinking they've had these experiences in some cases. And it's quite...
There was one in Oxford, wasn't there, which was very well reported, discovered by a police officer, I think it was, and he saw something coming down. And
there was, well, the Alan Godfrey case, probably referring to, which took place in Todmorden. Now, I've reinvestigated that case quite thoroughly, and we found 123 discrepancies.
123?
123 discrepancies.
Is that careless investigation on the part of the original investigators?
Yeah, some of them are, well, it's just how the stories change. I mean, some of them are as simple as, you take the first information which came out by his interview with the media, where he claimed he was abducted by lamp-headed robots. A guy called Joseph and a funny-looking dog. This is
Joseph and his dog. You can't trust him.
Oh no, he's terrible. A terrible guy, gets around. And of course, as the case goes on, the stories progress, and now we're at a stage where he got abducted by little grey aliens. So you can see how that's the simplest of things. That's before anybody needs any investigative skills. You know, that's just there to read in the media, these interviews. And when we investigated the case, we found that on location, there was lots of other things sort of... He was investigating that night the disappearance and reappearance of cows. Well, apparently, there's just cows got out out in the field and got through into some of the back gardens. That's all it was, but it was, again, twisted the story.
It's actually strange because it's funny because this morning we've got a couple of horses, and we've got one this has got a connection, by the way. One's got a little bit of laminitis, so we've got the smaller horse in another field where there's not a great deal of grass, and the other horse is in the other field where there's got quite a bit of grass. And this morning, Yvette went down to look at the horses, and the little one is in the field with the big one. And if I wanted to go down to that point, I could actually, the gates are all shut, there's no way can that horse, it's only a tiny horse, it can't jump over a gate. I could actually come down and I could be sitting here saying, but that's got to be, if I believed that, because that's got to be aliens. Something has moved the horse. It didn't, because someone's probably just left the gate open and then shut it after.
Very easy. If you're in that mindset, and you can look for those things and basically publicise them as so. There are, in fact, I believe there are unusual experiences. There was a spate of incidents in 1977 in Ripperstone, which is a place down south in Wales. And numerous people were being plagued by UFO sightings and strange beings, and all sorts of things happened over a period of a couple of years. And on one particular incident, a farmer was putting his cattle away at night, and he'd locked the gate, and just as he was locking it, he heard the phone ringing. So he hurried up, fastened the lock, ran off to get to the phone, picked up the phone, and it was another farmer, it was his neighbour basically, he lived about 4 miles away. And he said, well, I've got 3 of your cows here. And he said, well, that's impossible, I've just locked them up. I said, in fact, I had to run to the phone to get it, and of course, he went back to check, and the 3 of his cattle were missing. But they weren't apparently at the time he was. And these things were sort of, it happened of widespread over about 6 or 7 miles, and numerous people reported the same things. So very strange.
But this is the one thing that you tend to get with this. It's almost your own perception of what you think has happened and what has happened. But we're going to come back after the break and continue with this because we've got to go away for a couple of seconds. Please don't leave us and join us in a couple of minutes.